Hello and welcome back to Law of Attraction Changed My Life. This week I'm joined by somebody who we are going to get to know very intimately because she is our next book club author. Yes, we are going to be spending the whole of July with her. She is a Sunday Times bestselling author, a serial entrepreneur and a transformation coach. It is, of course, Noor Hibbert. Welcome.
Hello, I'm here. Thanks for
Hello.
having
I
me.
can't believe we haven't really crossed paths in the past, have we really? And I can't believe it. I don't know why.
Do you know what? This is so weird because the way that I even found out about you was because someone messaged me a few years ago and said, "Oh my God, Francesca Amber is using you in her book club." And this was my first book. And I was like, "Who's Francesca Amber?" Like I'd never heard of you and then she went, the woman that does the Law of Attraction Saved My Life podcast. I was like, "What?" Because I'd heard of that, but I hadn't put two and two together. And then I think I reached out to you to be like, "Oh my God, thank you for using my book," or something. I don't know, something along the lines of that. But yeah, it's been a hot minute. We should be besties. We should know each other.
Clearly, clearly. Well, I'm very glad you're here now. And I think I have talked about your books in the past, but this is definitely the first time we've actually done a book in the
Right.
book club. And I'm
Oh,
so
amazing.
excited.
It was on
Well,
a
you
photo
said this is,
shoot. My book was on one of your photo shoots because someone sent me a picture and we zoomed in. And I was like, "That's my
oh,
book."
yes, that may be correct. I do a lot of photo shoots with piles of books. Yes, you.
Damn
That's
it!
like my
That is
thing.
me thinking I've made it into the fucking book club. This is an anti-climax. No, no, you were just on the promotional material.
Yeah, I just used you as a filler. I'm sorry. But now, hello, look what we've got. Thank you for sending me this, by the way. You are a fucking success. Change your story, manifest your dream life. And when I told you we'd pick this book, you said, oh, thank goodness, because this is actually my best book I've ever written. So can you just give us a brief overview? Like, who is this book for? What's it going to help you with in your goddamn life?
So this book really is for anybody that is really knowing that they want more out of life. They're just sat there going like, is this it? Is this really what life is all about? Kind of what I call humanoid living. Eat, sleep, shit, repeat, save for a pension, go on a cruise and die. And this is kind of like the de facto operating mode of so many people on this planet. And I sort of say that jokingly, but unfortunately, sadly, it is the truth. And my kind of my kind of desire and intention with this book was we are meant for more. We can create the life that we want, but most of us feel like getting to this like successful life, getting to this dream life, getting to this next fucking level of wherever you want to go is um is unattainable. Is like success is this thing that's kind of only for a certain amount of people, or it's like the 1% or the lucky few. And I believe that's because our version of success is really skewed. I think we've been conditioned to believe that success is XYZ, but actually success is very different. So this book is kind of that journey of going, right, what is success? What does it really mean to you? You know, because like someone's version of success could be living on a caravan, eating baked beans every single day, looking at the ocean, and that would be their fucking best life. And then someone else is like, wants to set up a business that's going to impact millions of people's lives. Like everyone has this different version, but when we're like pigeonholed or, put in these tiny little boxes of success is this, go get your A levels, go to university, and we deviate from that. We internally feel like, you know, we're not this successful version of ourselves. So let's redefine success. And then how do we then create it? So then I talk about the manifesting method that I teach in the second part of the book, which is based on three core pillars. And then the last part of the book is all about understanding what's actually going to come in between you and creating this, fucking successful life. What is going to be in between you? And those are the success blockers. And then how can we then supercharge it? So it's the meaning, the method, and the mastery is the three parts of this book. And the way that I've written it is very much a integrative embodiment experience. It isn't just reading, there's coaching tasks, there's exercises. It's about really implementing what I teach because I really believe that we are all fucking successes because we were born. We are successes because we are exactly who we are right now. We just forgot. We fucking forgot that we're amazing and we're successful and that we had this magic wand to create the life that we want, but we just weren't given the instruction manual. So this is the instruction manual, and let's start creating it. So that's basically the synopsis of the book.
I love how you just described the entire book, but also all of my notes now. So I'm basically fucked. So thank you. This is my whole thing for the whole next hour. But I love how you just summed it all up there. I am so down for this book because you're right. Like, one person's version of success is going to be so different from another. And I think unless you do some sort of self-exploration and self-discovery and self-work, you're never going to find out what that is. And one thing that makes me really sad, and it just keeps coming up for me recently, because we actually opened this book on the streets of Turkey, where you are shopping for fake designer bags, or maybe you're not shopping for them, but you see them. And I recently just had that experience. I went to Turkey and I saw all this shit for the first time. And I'm just so struck by how many women, their like idea of success is having that expensive bag. And this is when they live in maybe like, accommodation that they're maybe not quite happy with. They might be in a shared house, or they might be still living at home with their parents. And, they may be doing a job they don't love. But like, that's their idea of success, is like having this bag. And I just find it so bizarre, like how we've got caught up on these external ideas of like what success is. Is it having a Range Rover? Is it having a massive house? Is it having... And I think this is definitely nuanced, right? Because it's okay if you love supercars and you want to live that life where you are so passionate about them. I just met a guy on Hinge actually, and his whole thing is like motorbike racing, and he spends his whole life, like, that's what he does. He has a podcast about it, and this is a bit weird mentioning this, we haven't even met, but still, like, that's his thing. If you are really into fashion and you spend your money on fashion, I get that. I understand having a nice home makes raising my children easier, but how do we differentiate between having things because it's genuinely going to give us a better quality of life, and having things for the sake of it because we think that's what success is and that's what we should do?
I mean, this is like such a loaded question in so many ways, because we can go off with it in so many different directions. But I think ultimately it all comes down to one thing: is, are we getting that thing because we don't feel like we are good enough without it? Every single thing that we purchase, every single thing that we invest our money in, it's coming from either a place of desire or which is like a soul fuel thing. Like, this is my soul absolutely fucking needs XYZ in its life, because I know that is going to expand me. I know that is going to make me a better person. That is going to help me be, elevate my life energetically. Or am I getting it because if I don't get it, I'm not going to feel like I'm a Kardashian. I'm not going to feel like I'm, fucking Emma at the hairdresser's got the Mulberry handbag. I ain't got one. I'm not good enough. And it's, are we chasing a feeling? And the reality is that everything we fucking do in life is about a feeling we're trying to get. Every single thing we do is a quest for somehow filling a void within us, a feeling within us. And so the self-awareness piece and the self-development piece comes in is the intention behind it, right? And as someone that grew up never feeling good enough, never being popular, never being cool, I wanted all the shit that everyone else had, because I thought if I had that, maybe then suddenly I'd be popular, I'd be cool, I'd be in the good group, the boys might fancy me, like all that shit. It was driven by sheer fear of not being good enough, sheer fear that if I didn't have this stuff, I wouldn't be at the same level of all these people that I admired or looked up to or thought were like this definition of success. And for me, I came from a very, very different background than a lot of people that I spent a lot of my childhood with, because I started off at a state school. We lived in a ex-council house on a council estate. You couldn't even fucking swing a hat in it, like a cat in it. It was like fucking tiny, right? And my parents sent me to a private school when I was in year 4, and not because I really wanted to, but because they were really, really, I come from a Middle Eastern family. Education was this really big thing. And I started coming home from school and I started talking, like I dropped all my H's, like I had a proper Cockney accent. My dad was a lawyer. So my dad was like, this is not happening. and took me out of the state school and was like, we're going to put her into a private school. And I got put into this private school, which absolutely pushed them to the limits financially. Like, I barely saw my parents. They were working so many hours to put me into this school. So I was amongst all these people that had really wealthy parents that went, on these ski holidays and holidays this, and we'd be on fucking teletext looking for like a holiday to Cavos for 150 quid, and so I lived a very different fucking life than these people that I went to school with. And so for me, I was constantly feeling like I wasn't good enough. I would be ashamed to have anyone come to my house. If I remember going to a girl's house once and crying because I got lost in her house. It was that big. And it was, I genuinely, I share a story in this book where in sixth form, this girl joined my school, and because I didn't really have a clique of friends, I used to love when someone new joined because I'd be like, they'll be my best friend, and my stepdad dropped me off at her house, and we were going down this driveway, and I looked up and I went, there's fucking turrets. She lived in a castle. Her dad was on like the rich list of the UK. So this was this world apart from what I experienced. My parents worked so hard. We didn't go on these lavish holidays. We go one trip a year, and so for me, I was consistently searching for these things outside of myself to validate who I was as a person. And this is where I think is a very dangerous game to play, because when you're on this, search externally for something to fill you, it's like a deflating balloon. It's like a tiny little hole that will always fucking deflate. It will never fill you up. Ego never gets satiated. Ego always wants more. And when it can't get more and it can't get more and it can't get more, it then seeks to drink alcohol, drugs, because it doesn't understand, there's no more. I can't afford another fucking handbag. I can't afford this. So it takes us down a really dark alleyway. So this work literally saved my life and who I was.
Oh my goodness. Do you think that was actually a good idea, that they really struggled to put you in that environment, or not? What do you think with hindsight?
I know in my heart, my parents, and I think every single parent on this planet can say this, we always try to do the best for our children. Any decent parent anyway. We always make decisions that we believe is the best for our children. I actually really struggled in that school, to the point where I was so badly bullied. I was in year 7 and year 8, and honestly, like I was in a really dark place, to the point where I wanted to end it all. I was in a really dark place, and I used to beg my mum to leave the school. And at that point, she was like, no, you can't, like, we can't leave, you have to stay. So it was a really difficult time for me during that period. So in hindsight, I wish my mum had pulled me out. I wish I'd gone somewhere different, all that stuff, but I can't change it. And I think looking back on those experiences, like, I'm not friends with anybody from school. Like, I see people on Facebook, they're all friends from the same school. I never fit in there. I always felt the outsider. I wasn't academic. I struggled with it academically. I struggled with it fitting in. I struggled being worlds apart. So yeah, I wish I hadn't. But also, was it part of the journey that I needed to go on, Francesca? Was it part of what I needed to do? I don't know, because it wasn't my
Probably.
dharma. It wasn't my choice to put me there. It wasn't like I woke up one day and went, that was what I wanted to do. So it wasn't like I had control over that path in my life. For me, I wanted to go to the Brit School. I wanted to go into performing arts. It was a worlds away of what I wanted to do. So all I can say is I know that my parents thought they were making the right decision for me. Whether they did or not,
Mm.
I'm here where I am today on that journey, right? So it's a difficult one for sure.
Yeah. I think there is a power in feeling like the underdog. I do think, like, this is like on my own journey, I'm trying to be less in that, like, I'll show you, like, hustle culture, like, I'm gonna fucking show you, I can, like, but also that has given me the drive in the past, I think. And yours was like a really extreme example, but like mine was, I was the only one who had divorced parents. I was the only one that didn't go to university out of all of my friends. And I think having that feeling of being like the underdog for whatever reason, I feel like it does give you a drive and an ambition that you simply don't have if you just have it all. And that's something, as I raise my own daughters now, I'm very aware. Like, my sister has got a much bigger house than us, much nicer cars and everything. And I'm always like, good, I want you to feel like the poor relative, because that'll make you like strive. Do you think that's a thing, or is that toxic?
I
Toxic.
actually think, I think we're motivated by various things, and often we're motivated by proving to others, proving to ourselves, and and I think wherever you get that drive from, does it really matter? As long as
Mm,
it's not harming you, okay? So I think when it gets toxic is when if somehow it's harming others or harming yourself, that's when it becomes a dangerous line to walk on. But I think cultivating motivation in yourself, wherever that comes from, if you're motivated, if somebody is that sense of inspiration for you and they're creating this sensation of motivation in your body that gives you drive, that gets you up in the morning, that makes you want to work and strive for something, then in a way, are they there at some level as what I call like a soulmate to shake you up and show you what's fucking possible, right? And
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been on the other side of that where, you know, I've seen my siblings maybe struggle and compare themselves to me. And it's actually like a horrible feeling because you're like, no, I don't want, we're on our own journeys, you got to. And that's a really difficult kind of balance as well, because you don't want to be the one that's suddenly gone from being the underdog to now not being. And now people are feeling less than compared to you, right? And that's everyone's own journey, by the way. That's got nothing, we can't control that. Um,
Mm,
but I do think definitely power in the underdog. I think there's definitely power. I don't think I would have ever got to where I was today if it wasn't for the anxiety, if it wasn't for the depression, and if it wasn't for my absolute, I was 23 years old. I was sat on my bed with my mum going for another breakup. And I remember looking at my mum and I went, please fucking help me. I am broken. Like, there is something very wrong with me. This is not normal to feel this way every single day. Help me, right? And I feel like it was one of the first times she really heard me in me. And I've been suffering for like a decade by this point, So first time she really heard me, but I don't think she knew what to do. She
no.
didn't really understand what it felt like to be in my mind or to be in my brain. And like, I wanted to be a success. I wanted, I'd seen all my friends go off, and like this point, they'd got jobs. They'd got their shit together. They'd got degrees that were fucking useful to them. And I felt like I was still at like square one. Like, I haven't figured this shit out. And I became a mother at 26 years old. And I thought when I was going to be a mother, it'd be lovely. I'd be married and I'd have a career and I'd have this, this house in wherever. Like, in my head, I had this picture of what my life was going to be like. And it was not like that. And I think I always say this, like, my children were the biggest motivator to me than anybody else, because I was doing it because I wanted a life for them that was better. And I wanted to heal myself. And I think what I teach in my book is so much more than manifestation. It's so much more than go and get successful. It's about deep work that's going to help you shift how your mind actually works so that you are able to go for your dreams. Because it's all good having dreams. If your mind is working against you, it's very difficult to make that dream manifest. So I think
Mm,
manifestation is one of the, like, learning how to manifest is one of the greatest fucking gifts, because it forces you to change how your mind thinks so that you can, excel and move towards what I call your unique blueprint in life and what's really meant for you. And I think that underdog piece you talked about, when you're meant for something, it will keep showing itself up. And how I've come to understand things like anxiety and depression is you suppressing your soul from doing what it's actually meant to do. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, I don't even know where the conversation started, but we're here. So let's just
have
continue.
you I'm curious to know now, have you ever done any like goddess energy work?
Not really, no. I've kind of like, not in the sense of like, I've never done like something that's like goddess energy work in that way, but I've done a lot of like energy work, healing work, like in all sorts of shapes and formats over the last 8 years particularly. So you'd have to kind of dive into what you specifically mean when you talk about that, so that I can maybe like tell you if I've done that and maybe it's been described in a different way. But I'm not done saying that's like literally says on the tin, goddess energy work.
Well, this is like, I thought it was just going to be like divine feminine energy work. This is what we're doing in the book club this month. And it's
Amazing.
fucking shaken me up.
Oh,
It
wow.
has shaken me up. It is wild. So you
Ooh.
like invoke the goddess
Right.
energy, like the divine feminine in the universe. But then that takes many forms. There's like Greek goddesses, Hindu goddesses, there's all different ones. But I guess
Yeah.
it's all just the same energy, right? And you invite it into your life to help you, which I guess is kind of the same as just co-creating with the universe and saying to the universe, like, please, I actually hand this over to you, or can you help me with this?
Yes.
Can you show me the way? And do you know what? I've got into praying, and I'm not a Jesus, I'm not a Bible basher, but I've got into praying to like the universe. I have a little goddess altar, but
I love it.
once you invite her into your life, I've had like a wild spiritual experience over the last 2 weeks. I've been
Oh my God.
feeling despair, depression, all
Mhm.
this awful stuff. Like my whole life is like, I don't know, like lost. And then I carried on
Mhm.
reading the book and it's like, do you feel despair, depression, lost? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I do. And it's because you've invited it in to say, like, help me see where my life isn't working. And
Oh my
that,
God.
whether you do that through Moldavite or whether you do that through invoking the goddess or just working on yourself, like it's not an easy path, is it? It's like it's not for the faint-hearted.
Listen, talk about Moldavite, because I get a lot of fucking questions about this, because I usually wear Moldavite every
Oh,
single day. Every day I wear
you
it usually.
do?
And this year has been like a really fucking wild year for me in so many ways. And one of my friends is like, "It's the fucking Moldavite." She's like proper, Um, and and then talking about like spiritual experiences. Like I suppose in the way it's like connecting with spirit guides, okay? And I've always been a bit like, I don't know if I'm fucking woo woo, but I don't know if I was like that woo woo. But then I hired this like spiritual coach that I work with last year to kind of, and it's like your spirit guides are saying this, and I was like, okay, I'm getting maybe a bit more on board. I still haven't fucking met them. No matter how much meditation I go into, I'm like, could you make yourself known to me? But then the wildest thing I think has ever happened in my life happened at the beginning of
What?
May, which was
Yeah.
this psychic came into my life, and that she was telling me my guides went to her. There was shit that this fucking person would have never fucking known. And I felt I had another spiritual awakening. I felt like my experience of, the other world has expanded. And you talk about praying, I've literally started doing that now as well. In the last few
Yeah.
weeks. Like,
Who are you praying to?
just universe, spirit. I'm like,
Yeah,
so,
me
so yeah.
too.
Yesterday, I swear to God, I shared this massive Instagram story because I lost something that I dropped something out of my hand in the dark the other night. And it dropped out of my hand, like literally it was in my hand, it dropped on my hand on my carpet on my floor. And it's fucking vanished. And when I say vanished, like I'm like Richard to my husband, it's gone into the upside down of Stranger Things. There's either a fucking black hole in our room, there's a glitch in the energy vortex. It was in my hand, I've dropped it. We have pulled out every wardrobe, every drawer, every fucking thing. I've had people on Instagram going, it's in your hair. I'm like,
In your
it's not,
hair?
yeah, it's gone. So honestly, yesterday I
Oh,
was
you
like,
Amy Winehouse? Jesus Christ, you can't
yeah,
lose things in your hair.
I was like, dear universe, like if you have stolen this eye patch thing that I really want, could you bring it back? Just praying to anybody. I'm just like, I will try anything right now because I'm like, it is fucking thrown me to I don't even know what's happened. But yeah, I've sort of started praying, but I don't really know. I just kind of just say like team of light, spirit guides, God, universe, whatever is out there, I could just really do with some assistance on this. So I don't really make
Yeah.
it. I like to hedge my bets, Francesca, on like everybody. Like,
Mm.
can we just have anyone that's listening? Could you help me out?
Anybody,
Divine,
I'll take anyone.
anything in the spiritual realm, please.
You should, honestly, you should. Where's the book gone? Oh, I've put it on the floor. But The
Send
Goddess
me.
Path by Kirsty
Oh,
Gallagher, I really do recommend it. Like, it, honestly, it is shaking me up. But I do love how you combine strategy with spirituality. And I think we were saying this earlier, like, between us, we've got what, 7 children?
yeah.
Is it 7?
Yep.
Yes,
So
so we've got
I've got
7 children
4. You've got
between us.
3. That's 7, right? Yeah.
We have unfinished conversations in our DMs because we are just women in our child rearing season of life. And I think this is where sometimes I talk about things on my podcast and people say, that's not law of attraction. What are you talking about? But I'm like, for mums, who I think are like the most energy poor, time poor, everything poor demographic in society, we have to get the basics right. Like, you try and manifest your goddamn dream life while you're tired or hungry or your house is a mess. So like sometimes it is things like make sure you plan your week out on a Sunday night and, you know, order your food shop on the same day each week and get it delivered to your house, and maybe look at something like HelloFresh to help you with the meals. Like, doing things like that are going to help you, give you the space and the energy and the time to actually manifest what you want. Because don't you think, like, I don't know, I just think we are both mums in that real, like, we're in the fucking trenches. And you do hear of a lot of particularly men saying, this is what you need to do to manifest. And I'm like, you ain't got a clue what my life is like. Do you find that?
Oh my God, yeah. And do you know what it is? It's like I read once, talking about feminine energy, that women are actually 16 times more powerful at manifesting than men. I don't know who
I
the
love
hell
that.
got that statistic, but I'm gonna buy into it.
Take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. I don't know who wrote it, who scientifically even measured that, or how you can even quantify such a statistic. But let's fucking roll with it. And because we have this ability to receive, we have this ability to create life, we have this ability, like, just magnificent. And I think when we demystify manifesting and we start to really just go down to the absolute basics of what it is, yeah, like in terms of like keeping your energy intact and, you know, protecting what I call like don't shit in my vortex. When you've got 4 kids, they're fucking loving shitting in your vortex, right? They just love to shit
Oh,
in your
shit all
vortex.
over it.
Um, and so trying to kind of manage that, and people say to me like, what's your morning manifesting routine? I'm like, surviving the school run. It's hair,
Yeah.
it's breakfast. I think people want me to get up in the morning and like be meditating like a goddess on like my field, you know. It doesn't fucking work that way, because I don't have time to sit in the morning and journal before the kids are awake. I don't have, you know, I'm up in the night with my child still. I'm not, you know, so it absolutely is about understanding how can I do that inner work and match it with the external doing, which is required to manifest. You know, we need the action piece. So I talk about the VIA manifesting method: vision, identity, and action. These are the 3 core pillars that I believe have helped me manifest a life that I've got today. It's helped me completely transform, you know, from having £138 a week maternity benefits to, you know, being able to build my dream house on the most expensive road in my city. Like, just what the fuck? I look back and I go, is someone going to wake me up? Is someone going to come and shake me and go, is this real? And I think when I look at those 3 core pillars, a lot of people miss one of those. And it's often the action. It's often the, well, I've done this piece, I visualize, I create the vision board, I feel like I've done my beliefs. What next? How do I actually do that next piece? And I think what the most hardest part of it is, often the action isn't something we are logically trying to plan out. Like, we can try to apply logic
Mm.
to the plan, but often it is so intuitively led that if you don't make space in your life to listen to that intuition and then act upon it, we often find ourselves deviating from our path. And why this, so oh, like, imagine, like, have you seen that film Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow? Right?
Fucking love it.
Okay, right.
Love
So
it.
I felt like I was literally living that experience in May when this psychic jumped into my inbox. She was like, I know you don't know me, and blah, blah, blah. I don't do this professionally, but I just have to share something with you. And it was almost like, she was like, you are about to make a logical decision that is going to take your life in a different path. She went, Noor, you need to follow your heart. Because if you go down this sliding door, your trajectory of your life is going to change. She's like, your spirit guides have told me to come in and tell you, listen to your intuition. It makes no sense. So there's like a sliding door, and if we don't trust our intuition and we follow logic, we may get back to the door at some point later on, but we may deviate. And I think the hardest part of being a mum, the hardest part of creating this life is having the time out for yourself to be able to listen to that intuition, to be able to make
Mm.
those decisions that are wild and bold and require you to step outside of your comfort zone, that perhaps logically make no sense, but because you're tired, because you're frustrated, because you're stressed, because you're dealing with like sports days, school plays, this day out, you end up not following that intuition. So it absolutely is hard. And I think making that time out for yourself is so important to manifesting. Even if it's not for the doing, it's for the being and the listening and the like praying.
Yeah.
Help me, figure
Right.
this out.
Definitely. I think even if you do have children, you know, you can make your dreams happen. Like I started this podcast, well, I was pregnant, but I was really like building it and started the book club when I had like little tiny breastfeeding twins. Like, and you can make it happen if you either find a way or you find an excuse. And we're not saying that children are like an excuse, but it does make life incredibly hard. And like you say, when you're like, oh, what's your morning routine? Like nothing, just getting dressed and getting out the door. I think being able to fit it into ways in your life that take no extra time or no extra energy, that's like a do you listen to subliminals?
I don't really know. I listen to audios. I listen to things every so often. But yeah, I have listened to them, but I don't listen to them on like a regular basis.
Oh, they're one of my favorite things. So the reason I'm so excited about doing your book is because we have gone off on some pretty random tangents in the book club. We've done Feng Shui. I'm really into like how your environment can like
Love it.
support your goals. Don't you? Do you know what? There's this lady called Olga Nyman that she coined the term spatial alchemy, how a space can affect how you act and how you live your life. And you've built
100%.
your dream home. Your home is beautiful. So, talking earlier about one of the things you say, like people's versions of success is like, oh, I want like a massive house. And we're saying that isn't always the way to go. But there is another side of that coin, isn't there? Saying actually creating a home that you absolutely love and help support your goals and raise your vibration and make you feel like a successful woman. That's a real vibe.
Absolutely. Like, I built this whole house with Feng Shui. I've actually got on my front step, you should see my builder's face when
Have
I come
you?
out. They were putting the whole house design with Feng Shui in mind. My whole house is black because in black, Feng Shui is wealth and positivity. There's only natural materials on the outside of wood and metal because of the Feng Shui. The way that we designed our staircase, the way that I've got glass on the wall, you know, and I put on my front slab of my house when you walk in, there's about 50 crystals all underneath the front slab of all different crystals. My builder was like,
No.
what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, don't worry, I'm just putting in some crystals, people. Nothing to see here. Just don't mind me. Bit of quartz, citrine, bit of quartz, bit of, you know, all the stuff. So yeah, all my front slab
Oh,
is underneath it.
nice.
It's all got crystals. So I'm massively into that. And the one brief that I had as I was designing it was expansive. I wanted to walk around my house and feel expansive. I wanted to look out the window and feel expansive. I wanted views that made me feel expansive. And before we'd even bought this property, I had a fucking clear vision of what I wanted, and it seemed impossible. 18 months of looking for houses. And my husband was like, you're going to have to let go of something. And I'm like, okay, put offers on houses. They kept falling through. And we finally found this plot. And I looked down, I went, that's the view. I've got goosebumps. That's the view. That's it. This is our house. This is going to be our house. There was like 13 offers on the table. We went to sealed bids and we got it. And originally it was a bungalow and we thought we were going to extend it. But my big dream was to build my house from scratch. But I thought it wasn't this one that would be that. But in the end, how it worked out, it ended up having to get completely knocked down and we rebuilt it all from scratch anyway. So everything has been designed with this kind of idea of where are all my expansive spaces? Where are the places that I go to read? Where are the places I go to meditate? Where are the places I go to think? You know, I've got a little egg chair that overlooks the field, like so I can just go there and just kind of meditate. That's what I'm doing last week. So just you know, fresh grass for grounding. Like everything has been designed with this idea of how do I alchemize my energy? How do I create spaces that enable me to be an even better manifester? And,
Mm.
it's just, I can't even believe this is my house. I can't believe I built it. I can't believe I stood in my, when it was my boyfriend 14 years ago, stood in his kitchen, his mum and dad's house, and I went, one day I'm going to build my house like a Grand Designs house. And I was working at a job, and it was a shitty sales job. And I remember working, we lived in Sheffield, and coming to this part of Sheffield that I'd never been to before. And I rang my husband and I went, what is this road? Oh my God. One day I'm going to live on a road like this. Never in my wildest dreams did I believe I was going to end up buying a house on this road. Like,
Do you live in Sheffield?
Yes.
You must live like an hour from me because my hinge radius goes to Sheffield.
Oh my, I'm not on Hinge, so we're not going to get this match, but
We won't match each other, but I didn't realise you lived there.
Yeah,
Oh, we're neighbours. We're virtually neighbours.
basically
I mean,
neighbours.
there we
What?
go.
Oh, are you Lincolnshire or something? Did I see that somewhere?
Yeah, so I'm from London, but I now live in Lincolnshire for my
I'm from
sins.
London, but now
To,
live in Sheffield. There we go.
oh, whereabouts?
Southwest London is where I'm from.
Oh no, I'm Islington.
All
Not,
right,
never
you're
go south of the
north.
river.
Oh yeah, yeah. I knew it would
Couldn't
be a
be
North
more different.
side. So yeah, I do believe in all that, the energy space, and I talk about that in this book. So in the book, I talk about at the end of it, supercharging your success. So I talk about the power of your environment on your
Mm,
manifesting. So there's so many like strategic points. I think one of the things that I love doing, which maybe not a lot of manifesting people do, is I really love to talk about the science behind it and how, because I think when we can understand things logically and we can apply logic to something, it enables it to go into our subconscious mind as well. So I try to break down the
definitely.
science so that people can kind of understand it. So yeah, I mean, the book
Tell
has a
us,
lot in
give us some science, give us some wild facts, because do you know what? I feel like men do need the science more. And 98% of people listening to this are women, but we have got a couple of gay men. So for the gays, what
it.
are the scientific, like, tell us.
Well, I actually think you're wrong. I think I get so many women that want to know
Really?
the logical. There's so many
Like,
like
prove
very
it.
logical women. And I think one of the things that I fucking love is I love converting people to my way. And I always say to them,
Oh,
I'm not here to prove anything to you. I'm not here to tell you that my way of thinking is the truth. I'm here to share a perspective that has changed my life. This perspective and what I'm teaching people has taken me from like a girl with big dreams to just creating a life wilder than my dreams. I can and just the stuff that I've manifested. Honestly, the stories that I could tell, you'd be sat going, no, fuck it, like what the fuck, like you can't write it. So I love these converts. So the way that I like to see things is that the biggest myth through which we live our life, the lens through which we live our life, the biggest myth is that we live in a solid world. That, we're physical beings in a physical world made of solid matter, that we are, our mind is set, mindset came from the whole idea that our mind is set as who we are, what we experience as children, how we create that kind of mix of nature and nurture. It solidifies who we become as humans. And even more so than that, like who we are as adults, we get these labels that then we live by. I am an anxious person, I am a depressed person, I am divorced, I am this, I'm that. And these become these stories that we create about ourselves. Okay, so I think the absolute first fundamental thing that I like to kind of tell people is this is, we aren't solid beings living in a solid world. Quantum physics has completely shown us that actually what we believe to be an atom. So I've got really itchy nose. It's really annoying me. I don't know what's going on with it.
hay fever. Or
Yeah,
a surprise.
no, literally, pollen is. Oh, is that a thing? It's a surprise coming. If you've got an itchy
Itchy
nose.
nose is a surprise. Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, okay. It might be hay fever. I shut all the doors to avoid it. So historically, we believe that atoms were made up of a certain kind of recipe of ingredients that made up an atom that then formed these very sort of solid things that we see. Like this book is made up of atoms, this phone is made up of atoms, I'm made up of atoms. But atoms are what happens. Quantum physicists came along, took a really big microscope and looked at atoms and went, oh, actually, we can go deeper in. actually we can go deeper in. Actually we can go deeper in. And they were going in and in and in with this microscope. And what they came to see was actually atoms were 99.999% energy. And what this meant was, wait a minute, we're not solid beings. We're atoms that are vibrating at an incredibly fast rate. But the reason we can see, a phone or a book is because they're vibrating at a slower frequency. And the reason that we, can put our hand, we can't put our hand through the book is because of the different electromagnetic frequencies and electromagnetic resistance. But we are not solid. We are atoms vibrating at a very, very high speed. We're made up of about 7 to 8 octillion different atoms. But the way that I like to see it is that a book is an inanimate object, whereas a phone is an inanimate object, whereas we are animate. So I like to see us kind of like as individual websites. We've got our individual domains. I'm Noor.com, you're Francesca.com, and we're hosted on this massive server of consciousness. And each and every one of us is like brought to life. Like our website is like, you are now hosted. Your domain is now live as we become these humans living this, this human existence. So what makes us different from, an atom or a book or a phone? Sorry, I can see my security's ringing me, which is like, so someone trying to break in. So it makes us different from like an atom, a book, is that we are being hosted by this consciousness that makes us alive. And I believe this consciousness is what is plugged in and hosted by this infinite intelligence we call it the universe. And that's what separates us. And the way that the science kind of shows this to back it up is that there was an experiment called the double slit experiment. And this double slit experiment basically changed the way that science viewed how energy, particles, and waves all behaved. We used to believe that they behaved independently of anything else. But what this experiment showed was that observer energy, consciousness, this thing that is coming through us as humans and keeping us alive and making us animate, actually has an impact on waves and particles outside of ourselves. So in layman's terms,
Dr. Emoto, that one, the water experiments, is that what you mean?
yes, but before Dr. Emoto, it basically shows that as consciousness, we have the ability to affect the energy around us. So then It's like, okay, so we have this consciousness going through us. This is what makes us an animate object. This is what keeps us living and breathing. We have this thing called the mind, the subconscious mind, that gives us thoughts and feelings. All of these affect our vibration in our body, which then has an impact on the energy around us. So if we start to think about it in those terms, suddenly it's like, oh, so we do have an impact on the environment around us. Okay, what does this mean for us as humans then? Well, it means that perhaps we're not giving ourselves enough of a chance. We're not understanding how much power we actually have on us to change the world around us. So I talk about lots of different other like sciencey bits in the book and kind of talk about that. But I think at a fundamental level, when we understand that we're not just solid beings living in a solid world, that we actually have consciousness running through us, which has the ability to change the energy around us, something that changes the game for us.
I love it. And how empowering is that for us to realize? I think for a lot of people, what they love about the law of attraction is, rather than being somebody that's just experiencing life and having things happen to you, you realize, wow, I can actually change the outcomes of things and I can actually create my own reality. Like, I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, is like that infinite realm of possibilities where
Absolutely.
you still see people all the time being like, do you know how I can manifest back my ex? And I'm like, oh, you won't want to when you know what's out there. And I think for myself, like in the pandemic, I had a beauty salon in London, and I'm a single parent, single income. So like my work's quite important. And I became pregnant with twins, and then beauty became illegal. Do you remember that? Like it was illegal. You used to have to do people's lashes like in my flat, like secretly out the back. It was traumatizing. But at the time, if you'd said to me like, Fran, what do you want to manifest more than anything? It's like, I just want to manifest that they're going to like open the salons again and that I'm going to somehow be able to work in a salon with 2 babies strapped to my back. Yeah. And that's like not believing in the field of infinite possibilities. Never in my wildest dreams could I have thought, actually, I will end up giving that salon away. Imagine that, giving away a salon in London. I literally gave it to someone because a bigger opportunity, doing a podcast, sharing this, the law of attraction, my passion, like, and I think that that's just one example, but I think quite often we cock block ourselves, don't we, by
Absolutely.
not being open, not being open to the infinite possibilities. How can we have more trust in that and stop being such like controlling manifestors, do you reckon?
Well, in my book, I talk about how I believe that every single one of us has a unique blueprint. Okay. So in the way you take an acorn is blueprinted by nature, by universe, God, whatever you want to call it. It is blueprinted to become an oak tree. Doesn't matter what we fucking do to that acorn. It ain't gonna become a weed. It ain't gonna become a rose bush. It's not gonna become a tomato. It's not gonna turn into a lion. It is blueprinted perfectly to become an oak tree. And that acorn needs the right context. So it needs sun, it needs water, and it needs soil. If I put that acorn in the middle of my office, right, and I could do all the hoping, all the wishing, all the praying, come on, fucking acorn, turn to oak tree, that acorn is not becoming an oak tree. So the first thing that I want you to understand, everyone to understand, is we are part of nature, which means we are blueprinted for our oak tree version of our life. We have what I call not I call it, but the Sanskrit call it Dharma, but I refer to Dharma, your unique purpose on this planet, or purposes on this planet. I don't believe we're just blueprinted for one thing. I think that we can be multifaceted, incredible humans that do lots of different things. But we have this kind of roadmap that's within us to what is possible for our lives, what is the sort of self-actualized version of ourselves, so that the acorn self-actualizes the oak tree. But it takes a process for the acorn to get to the oak tree. And a lot of us, obviously, as humans, we're like, we want this, we want it now. If it doesn't happen, it's not, if it doesn't happen, then I need to, it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me. But we have, the law of attraction is one law of the universe, but there's law of gestation, which says that everything needs time to gestate. So, how can we trust? How can we lock into that blueprint? Because ultimately, if we know that we're blueprinted for something bigger, if we know that we're part of this nature, we're blueprinted for something bigger, we have this, the first thing to start doing is really get honest and clear about what it is you want from your life. Take away all of the fear, take away all the bullshit, take away all the how, and just sit down and be really honest about what you really want. And really feel is this what I really want? Is this actually what would make me really happy? Is this what my dream would be? Once you do that, that will start to unlock your roadmap to your blueprint. I believe that your dreams are the clues of what your blueprint is and how to get there. And it may not look how you think it will look, but when we start to follow that, we can start to honor the fact that we're on our own journey to creating the life that we want. And actually, what you think you want, like you talk about this infinite field of possibilities. When I knew I wanted a career that was helping people, that was somehow, I guess, entertainment in some way, or writing books, or performing on videos, or doing something like never mind what
Creative.
I would have, creative. I would have never thought at 18 I'd be podcasting, I'd be doing lives, I'd be a coach. These things never really existed. So if I had just gone, I'm going to go do this because this is what the world is saying to me right now, I would have missed out on all the infinite possibilities of what could have been. So I think the first place is to start off with really getting clear on what your vision is for your life, and get clear on by doing that, by being fucking honest about what you really want and what you don't want. And then use that as kind of the catalyst to sort of try to understand, you are meant for more. You are part of nature. But if you sit in an office all day with no sun, water, and soil, no matter how much praying and wishing you're going to do, you ain't going to become that beautiful oak tree. You need to have the right context, which is what I talk about as the vision, the identity, and the action to manifesting. Once you've got the vision, it's then about understanding the process and applying it and recognizing things take time to gestate. It was 14 years ago that I stood in my boyfriend's kitchen, now as my husband, saying, I want to build my dream house. That didn't happen overnight. That was a dream that took 12 years to gestate. So, it's about understanding there's a process and patience, but recognizing that until you open your eyes up to see that the world is way more than what you think it is, you're always going to like have what, a postcard version of the world, like everything splits on a tiny postcard. So yeah,
And
listen to
limit
inspiring
yourself.
stories. Listen to inspiring stories of other people. That for me has been a big one for me.
Oh yeah. I love to follow people that are basically living, and they don't have to be huge amazing lives, but just people that have picked up and like moved to New York. And I love to follow people and see what is possible, and anytime that I feel myself contracting, and I think that people often experience this around money, like if you have something come up where you're like, it makes all of your old limiting beliefs about money come back. Like recently I got a massive tax bill, like huge. One of my old accountants fucked up and it brought up a lot of my old limiting beliefs around money. And
Yeah.
I purposely sat down, and this can also come about as well when you start to, and I think you talked a little bit about this earlier, about going from being the underdog to suddenly being the winner in your family or in your circle of friends. I mean, that was me. I was like the single mum. I was the one that my mum was always a bit like, oh God, she's had like children by different people. And she's like, I was always a bit the underdog. And then I quickly became the wealthiest person in our family. And that in itself can bring up
Oh my God.
brand new limiting beliefs about money. That can make you start to feel guilty about, God, do people think that I'm spending too much, or I've got too nice a house, or I've got, this, that, and the other. And what I like to do is I like to watch the Kardashians, or there's those TV shows about like London property where you see people that have bought like a £20 million house in London, and it's like some Nigerian prince that just uses it like 1 week a year. And I just think not Chris Kardashian, what's her name? Kris Jenner, my idol, my hero. She had an apartment that she forgot about. She forgot about it. And I watch things like that to remind myself, like, okay, the people I'm surrounding myself with, who are wonderful people, but I feel like, oh my God, I've got too much. All you need to do is recalibrate yourself by looking at some wealthy bitches and you'll be fine.
Do you know what? I fucking love that. And I think that it's like it's such an important thing to do, is realize that life is like a video game and most people will stay on level 1. But if you keep yourself on level 1 because you're scared of going to level 2 or level 3 or level 4 because other people are going to think certain things about you, that's where that's where people keep themselves small. It's this conditioning because of this tribal primitive conditioning about judgment that we have in us, that is so deeply ingrained, that is so destructive to us. Because as humans, we needed to be validated in order to survive as children. We needed our primary caregivers to tell us we were good little boys or good little girls. We needed that. So that is absolutely inbuilt with us. And unfortunately, it is that same safety and survival mechanism that works against us as humans when we're trying to get into the next level of life. And every single level brings up a new devil. Every single level of life brings up, I'm sat here sort of like, oh man, like I've just never done a 6-figure cash month. Like that would be the next level. Like, and you always say out loud, like, what the fuck am I, but that it's true. Like you go to the next level of your life and like, what is the next thing I want to do? What's the next milestone? And you then look at people that are way ahead of you in other ways. But once again, coming back to this, and this is very important about this book. Why do you want it? Is it ego driving you, or is it the fact that you're meant for more? Is it, and as humans, we have this inbuilt need to grow and contribute, this inbuilt need to keep growing. So if we're not growing and you're someone that loves growing, there's going to be this consistent drive to keep growing, but it's understanding where that becomes unhealthy versus exciting. Is it constricting or is it expansive, and that comes down to self-awareness. But yeah, I love it. Go look at wealthy bitches that've got way more than you. Like, I don't want a private jet because they fucking freak me out, but I do love the idea of like, being able to fly business with the kids everywhere we go. We did it for the first time last year. It was the first time I took all 4 of them and we went, flew business class. And I've done it before by myself. That was on my goals list. But to do all of us, fuck me. You know how much it costs for fucking 6 people to fly business? It's ridiculous.
Oh,
So that was my
I
big
can
money
imagine.
mindset thing. That was like, what, and I had this conversation with my clients recently. What does the next level version of me look like? What does that person look like? And I sat down and wrote down everything I spend money on in a year. and I'm pretty much making exactly that. And I'm like, fuck, like, so what's the next level? And actually being really honest about that, you know, I want to be able to, you know, but the best fucking hotels and the best fucking airlines, I don't want to have to worry about that. I don't want to have to think about, is that sensible? I think there's a level of sensible, as long as you're saving and you're investing and doing all that. I want enough left over to do all that. So do I need that? No. But would it be a beautiful experience? Yeah, because I don't care about designer handbags. I don't care about watches. I don't care about stuff like that. I care about memories for my kids, you know, memories for my family, memories for me, memories for people I care about, my friends. That's what matters. So, you know, money, you know, if money buys that's what money buys. You know what I mean? And it's so individual to each person.
I think you can see a lot of people go the wrong way, and they do go down the whole like flashy cars, everything designer. And it's like, are you genuinely really happy with that? Like
100%.
everything I spend a lot, well, some of them might be, but I think you can tell when some stuff is just for show. And I just think everything I purchase, everything I spend a lot of money on, I always like to ask myself, like, why do I want this? Like, is this going to make my life better? And I've dropped some heavy bills in the last year or so, and every single time it's like I got a swim spa in my garden, and it was like, I think it was like 60-70 grand in the end with everything about it. And so many people, my mum was panicking about it. She's like, you've only just bought a house. But I was like, I want to have, like, childhood only lasts for so long, and I want to have this number of summers with my children where we can just be out by the pool. And I mean, this summer is fucking me right up. But like, I keep getting my Facebook memories come up from last summer. And it's like after school, we would all come in and we would all be out in the garden, out in the pool till like 9 o'clock at night. And it was fucking amazing. And it's like, if you're buying something for that reason, then
100%.
amazing. Make more money, make more money. But if it's for some other reason, and do you know what? I look back over my life, because this self-development journey has really accelerated over the last 5 years, but I've been doing the law of attraction for like 15 years. And I look back over my life. If I had to go back to any of those points in my past, I fucking would not want to return to my mindset that I had at that time. Like, that terrifies me. The mindset that I had and the outer world that created, the people I was around, the job that I was in.
Yeah.
But if I actually look at, would I absolutely hate to go back to my little flat in London? Would I absolutely hate to go back to my shared house in Camden? None of those things have affected my happiness at all. Your dream house or your, you know, little shared flat in Camden with some lesbian couple, the happiness levels were the same. The only thing I would not want to go back to is the mindset of it.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I don't really know what my point is there, but you get what I'm saying.
I think what you're
Work
saying
on your
is that
mindset.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like what you're saying is that, and this is what was, when I learned to be happy in spite of the fact that my external circumstances weren't the dream reality, I think that was what made me a master manifester. I genuinely fucking believe my ability to be able to sit in my old house that we paid 90 grand for with my 2 kids when I had no fucking job because my back was against the wall and I had to leave my job because I'd gone into early labour, all of this stuff. But I was able to hold my child and genuinely go, I'm the luckiest fucking person on this planet right now. I think that is what catapulted my whole life, was my ability to just find the joy in this moment. When my brother had cancer, I remember, probably the only person on the planet, when someone gets told they've got, you know, someone close to them gets cancer, I remember going, I'm so grateful and I understand that something good's going to come out of this. And it was like this kind of like spiritual work and this journey that I went on, I think changed who I was, because now I am not looking for external validation. I am not looking for those things to fill me up. I'm looking at, am I happy inside me? By the way, sidebar note, I'm because you got your swim spa and I saw you having so many memories when we were building our house, I was like, oh my God, look at that. And we were umming and ahhing about where to get a pool. And my sensible brain was like, are we going to use it? Are we not? Oh. And then I went, fuck it, we're getting a swimming pool. So we went for it. We've got a pool now. And one of the reasons was like, you were like, I felt like, I don't know, like a post came up and I was like completely debating it. I think the universe showed me your post as a reminder of like,
Really?
yeah, I really do. Of a reminder of like, all your kids in there. And I was thinking, yeah, I can see my kids in there, you know. reminder of actually, that was on my goals list, a home with a pool. And I thought, before we do the whole garden and it gets all done, and then I changed my mind, I'm like, fuck it, we're going for it. And I think, it's about the memories. I don't give a shit about, a lot of people are like, why don't you share photos of your house on social media? Why don't you do this? So don't care about you seeing my house on social media. I put a couple on because people, wanted to know, but I ain't got fucking time for that. I want to live my life. I want to be with my kids. I want to make memories. So if those things do it, it's not about doing it so I can be like, hi. It's about doing it because it's inspiring people to find those things and invest in the things that really matter. So thanks, Fran. You reminded me.
There we go. Oh,
We
I'm
sip
always
some
here
now.
as a service. Well, I cannot wait to spend the whole of July with You Are a Fucking Success. If you want to come and join us in the book club, You Are a Fucking Success, change your story, manifest your dream life. And do you know what? Even if you're an old-timey manifester like me, I really do. I'm a big believer in, we sometimes forget the basics, and you just need to hear it from a fresh voice, a fresh perspective. And I don't know about you, but like you were just talking about your like being in that little house, that little 90 grand house, and feeling, when you think back to that time, I feel excited. Like when I think back to that, I want to feel that excitement again of like, I can fucking do it, man. Like I can change my life. Like I want to feel that excitement again. And I'm really hoping that, well, I know that that's what we're going to get from this book, because it's been a hot minute since we've done an actual manifesting book. Where can everybody find you? Tell us.
Well, you can find me on the old gram at Noor_Hibbert, and obviously the book's available on Amazon. And honestly, reading the reviews already has just made my heart. I read some more this morning, and the amount of people have said that it's the best personal development book that they've read. And it's because this is deep. The last talks about manifesting, but at the end it really goes deep into kind of the deep subconscious work. So I'm really excited for you guys to read that and see a different perspective on things. But find me on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. But yeah, if you I'm around. You'll find me. There's only one
Is
Noor
loving.
Hibbert.
Noor Hibbert, I'll put all your links down below. Send
Thank
them to
you.
me, otherwise I'll forget to do that.
I will do
But,
it.
but there we go. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, we're talking in unison now.
That's the delay. It's like you're in Australia. You're only an hour down the road. There shouldn't be a delay. But thank you so much for coming on. It has been a true joy. Go and find Noor's links down below. Come and join us in the book club if you want to do You Are a Fucking Success. We start on the 1st of July, and I'll see you bitches next week. The law of attraction has changed my life. It's going to change yours too. Bye.